Welcome to the Parenting with Confidence podcast. I am your host, Teresa Alexander Inman, board certified behavior analyst and infantile developmental specialist. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of having with me as my guest none other than Neill Elliot. Thank you so much for being here, sir. I'm going to go ahead and just read a little bit of the bio and then we'll move forward. Okay. So Neill is highly educated and owned a profitable consulting firm and had a successful career and an amazing wife and family. But not all things seem to be, not all things were as they seem to be. So Neill faced with a lot of challenges, and in a phrase, he was in a dark place. Quite by accident, he discovered a higher road. And he traveled that road and found the key to transforming his life. Welcome, Neill.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I would like to ask you, so A Higher Road is the name of your book. Why did you write that book?
So A Higher Road, I wrote it to help people. And how and why? Why can't I even say I can help people? So it's based on my experience. So what happened was from 2002 to 2015, I slowly drove myself into this really deep and dark, despondent depression. And we're all great actors in our environment, right? So we can project whatever we want. My wife didn't know I was there. My family didn't know I was there. Certainly my clients didn't know I was there. And I thought I need to do something to get out of this state I'm in, this depression. So I picked up some spiritual books. I picked up some science books. I studied them and trying to find a path to bring myself out of this depression. And so I spent 2 years studying this material, and it didn't work. And so our house had been on the market for 5 years, finally sold, and my wife jumped on a plane to go visit family and friends in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We were in this little one-bedroom rental apartment in the city. I sat down at a little kitchen table. I planned out my suicide. I crafted my suicide note. And I was planning my suicide out for about 3 to 4 months to ensure that my wife would be financially okay. I could say goodbye to family and friends without them knowing what I was going to do. And a week prior to me sitting down, some material fortuitously came to me that promised to liberate me from my thinking if I followed it and I studied it. And I grew up agnostic, but I had this little nagging doubt that if I committed suicide, I'd end up in this really bad place and I couldn't come back from that. So I was looking for any sliver of hope to hang on. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll push out my suicide. I'll study this material. Doesn't work. I can pull the trigger. It does work great. And a year later, so I started studying this material. So that would have been November 2017. A year later, so November 2018, I was 58 at that point. I woke up one morning and like my depression was totally gone. And I was full of this inner peace and love and joy. And I felt totally prosperous and abundant, even though nothing in my environment changed. And then at 13 months after I began this process, so late December 2018, I went into these 2 meditations, and they were 2 days apart. And as I went in this meditation, I was going through these higher vibrational frequencies of consciousness, and the spiritual energy flowed into my head. It filled my body, and then it totally enveloped me in unconditional love, like just cradled me in this. We don't have the human language to describe it. I just felt totally supported, not judged. I didn't care what anybody had done to me in the past. I didn't care what I had done. It was like anything that I had done, I was forgiven for and not judged. And I didn't care what illnesses I had or what pains my body had. I just wanted to stay in that state forever. Came out of that meditation. 2 days later, I had the exact same meditation. And at that point, I knew that the new knowledge I gained and the process I followed is our truth. And I just wanted to share that with everybody in the world. And I thought, I got to stand on the rooftops and share this. And okay, I'm going to be looked at like an idiot. And so, so I didn't do that. And it took me a couple of years to figure out the best way to do that is to write a book. And so I've written a book, and in my book, I have described the exact process I've went through, the material I used, and the latter part of my book is my personal experience as I went through these 7 steps.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, we all want that feeling, right? So many parents are struggling, especially with COVID. A lot of parents are going through depression and feeling isolated. And that feeling sounds so liberating. And I want them to get there.
Oh, I'd like everybody to get there. So I don't know whether I mentioned I'm a professional engineer and an MBA. So this was quite a shift for me in terms of understanding how and why we're here and what we're to be doing. And but it's based in science to give us credibility and believability in terms of what you learn. But as more and more people make this shift in consciousness, we will bring this world into a new era of love and peace. And that's what we're here. That's what we meant to be doing. And we have let over the past 150, 200 years, we have let our egos take control of our lives and have driven this world to, the brink of self-annihilation. Now, it's not going to happen. We're going to make this shift, but it happens one person at a time. And you have to be open and then willing to take this inward journey. And if you do, I tell you, you will just be in this place that you never dreamed imaginable. And then, you'll want to ensure that your children are equipped and your children start to learn these things so that their lives will be entirely different and that they will be the ones that can expand this to create this new era of love and peace for everybody in the world. Because it's going to take time. It's going to take generations to do this, but it can be done and it will be done.
Absolutely. That sounds so exciting. Now, would you mind sharing with us the meditations that you tried? Because you said there were 2 days of the same meditation.
Yeah. So let me first tell you about the structure of the book, and then I'm going to tell you, then I'll touch on the meditation piece. So the book has 5 parts, and part 1's an overview of what you're going to learn. Part 2, I did a very candid memoir. Now, I'm a very private person, but I thought it was important to be very candid in this memoir to explain to people and give examples of the patterns of thinking and feeling that I adopted and reinforced over my lifetime that created every event and every experience that came into my life. And you won't necessarily understand that by reading my memoir, but what you're going to do is when you complete the book, and certainly after you complete all 7 steps, you'll be able to make this linkage for your own life. And you can use my memoir as a bit of a template, if you will, if you're interested in doing that. The third part of the book, so part 2 is this memoir. The third part of the book is a chapter in consciousness, and it is designed to utilize some information that we know in science today to build this foundation for you to accept this new information that I share in part 4 of the book. And I call it it's a blueprint document, which will reveal to you things hidden since the beginning of time. And I know other people have said that, but if you can trust me for the moment and just, you can make your own decision later. If you follow this process and you complete all 7 steps, you too may come to agree that yes, that is new information. And then in step 5, part 5 of the book, so part 4, I unveil these truths. And in part 5 of the book, I share my experience as I went through these 7 steps. So my recommended way to read A Higher Road is read it cover to cover, understand the process in its entirety, And then if it resonates with you, go back and start with some of the science material, or start directly with step one. And if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. But I ask, if you bought a print copy of the book, to please just pass it on to somebody else without any colorful commentary. And the reason I ask you to do that is because you can put it on your shelf and read it 5, 10 years, 15 years in the future. That's one option. Or you can pass it on to somebody else. But when you pass it on, it's important that, we all realize we can never judge the inner reality of another person. So someone who's really kind and affable outwardly might be an entire mess inside. And giving them this book to read and discover for themselves may be the most transformative thing you do for them in their lives. And it can totally change your life. So in A Higher Road, you're going to learn 7 steps that take you through this process of new knowledge you're going to gain. And the second to last step, you're going to learn this meditation that that takes you into this place of silence and stillness in your mind. Now, I picked up meditations in the 90s. I tried meditating in the 90s, 50 different types of meditation, all these good things about reduced anxiety and less stress and things like that. But the difference is that I did not understand until I followed this new material that the real purpose of meditation is to go into the silence and the stillness of your mind to make connection back to source. Source, whether you want to call it God, Yahweh, the Tao, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to call it. But when you enter into the silence and the stillness and you learn this new knowledge that you'll gain, and then you reach out to make this connection with the divine, what happens is that eventually you will build new brain cells impressed with new knowledge at the top of your head that allows the divine to make itself known to you. Our creator is so spiritually refined and in meaning and at such a high state of vibrational frequency that it cannot enter into us and make itself known to us until we raise our vibrational frequency of our consciousness and we go through this process of inner cleansing and rebuilding. And when you do that, then you get assistance from the divine that will flow in through your head and then eventually fill your whole body. And so, the thing about this meditation is you learn how to stop all of your thoughts and just go into this silence. And it is the most peaceful, most beautiful time of every day of your life if you do this process. So you can start with 5 minutes a day. You can build up to whatever you want. But I meditate every morning for between 90 minutes and 2 hours. That's my choice, and that's what I do.
I thought I was doing something with half an hour. Okay.
Whatever, 5 minutes is still good.
It's amazing. My friend Sarah Webb, who is an avid meditator, she's a transcendental meditation practitioner. And she says that she feels like meditation, prayer is talking to God and meditation is hearing from God. Would you agree with that statement?
Good description. Good description.
Yeah.
Very good description. Because if in order for you to understand our truth, you have to actually enter into it and then experience it. It's not something that you can learn intellectually. It's something that you end up experiencing and feeling. And when you do that and this happens to you, where you get this spiritual inflow of energy and you make all these linkages because you've learned this new knowledge and why this is happening and how it happens, then, you have this foundation of new learning that becomes new knowledge. And then you experience it. And then you understand that, okay, what I'm experiencing, I know is our truth. And then you get on this path, this road of this ever evolving spiritual awakening. And, one thing you'll learn many, many things. One thing you will learn about, and we can talk a little bit about it if you like, is this evolutionary process of the soul, why we're here and what we're here to learn. And if you understand this, you will understand why two children in the same family end up being entirely different personalities. And I can attest to that. You know, my daughter is my kids are like chalk and cheese, you know. So
Yeah. I love
and,
that term. I read it in your book and it's like chalk and cheese. That's so funny. Yeah.
I think that's an old English phrase.
Yeah, my children are totally opposite as well in amazing ways. I mean, they're both artists. One's a photographer, the other one paints. But like personality wise, one's really calm and subdued, the other one's like excited and all, life is just wonderful. So yeah, it's just incredible how you can have that, those differences. Now I'm going to say something. If you and I were having this conversation, maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago, I'd be like, what is this man talking about? This man is vibrations and this and then that. And I'd be like, okay, I don't know about this, Neill. Maybe we'll just talk later. However, I've been on a spiritual awakening journey, on a self-improvement journey. I've been, doing a lot of research and trying different meditations and doing different things. And what you're saying actually really resonates with me, because back then I would have been like, it's kind of woo-woo and I don't know if I want to go there. However, there is so much science, like you said, to back up what you're saying. We're so afraid, I think, to tap into our true inner selves that we're like, I don't know what I'm going to find out. I don't know if this is right, and then we just don't bother.
So, yeah. And if you would have, if I would have heard this kind of stuff, 5-6 years ago, because I started this in 2017, this process, I would have done the same thing. I would have just run from this, like, yeah, okay, that sounded a little woo-woo for me. But I can tell you that what I share, I'm a professional engineer with an MBA, and I've spent my life doing engineering work. So, this is not as woo-woo as you might imagine it is. But I can tell you that when you understand when you gain this new knowledge, which is really understandable, rational, logical, and makes sense because of what we know in science today, and it's all explained in concepts you're going to be able to understand. You don't have to be a scientist to understand this. You will have this foundation that you can build on to make this leap to spirituality. And all of the safety, the peace, the security, the love, the joy that you are seeking, it is all inside of you. And you just need to gain some new knowledge and then have a process that enables you to unlock it and bring it to the bear. And, we, unfortunately, the egoic mind, what it does is our life is driven by our externalities. And our externalities, what we see and what we believe to be right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, are really just beliefs. And if you can change your beliefs, then you can change what you see. And I'll give a very quick example of this. Is during this pandemic, we live in this little historic village, and down the street is this historic building where the entry level's on the second floor. So there's these big steps that come down. These two women I know, they went out for a walk. They were chatting. As they're approaching the base of these stairs, of these steps, this elderly woman came out of the second floor, and she's gesticulating wildly. And she's really angry and upset. And she stares down at them and she points at them and says, "You can stare all you want. I don't care." And, she's really outraged. And the one woman, she goes, "Oh my God, this woman's dangerous. I'm going to phone the police." She steps back, pulls out her cell phone, calls 911. The other woman's thinking, "I wonder if this woman's okay. I wonder if she needs help." And so she reached out to her and she said, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And as soon as the woman on the stairs heard that, she calmed down. She told her story. She explained what happened. The only difference in that experience, which was a common experience for these two women, was this foundational beliefs that they have reinforced with their patterns of thinking and feeling in their subconscious mind over a lifetime. And if you can get to a way to understand that what you think is right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, you then have the opportunity to say, okay, well, if I believe that to be right or wrong, and it's just a belief, why would I want to change my beliefs? So, first thing is because if you can bring yourself into congruency and alignment with from where we come from and to where we return, you can be this expression and this embodiment of unconditional love to everyone and everything in your environment and bring the most amazing peace and joy and love and security into your experience. And when you understand that that's the goal, that's where you need to, or that's where you should be, that's where you want to be, and stop letting these externalities drive your environment, then when you have the process to get in and break up this subconscious programming that you have programmed in your subconscious and unconscious mind, then you have the opportunity to change your life. And that's what this book is about. It's about helping people change their lives. And it's your choice whether you want to do it or not. You know, it's entirely up to you.
That's right. You can lead a horse to water.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and you can
But
only, oh, yeah, sorry.
as a parent, the more parents that understand this and become this embodiment of unconditional love, and I tell you, it's an unconditional love like we cannot describe because it truly is unconditional. You will be able to teach your children this, and they'll be able to teach their children that, and then we'll just change this entire world.
And that is what we need. We need love and we need healing because there's just been so much, there's so many scars that we need to heal from. And I want to continue this conversation, sir. Can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And next time, what we can do is we can start with the ego and how and why, give you some analogies around how and why the ego takes control of our life, and then what this evolutionary process of the soul is.
Wonderful. So with that, we're going to stop, but we will come back and continue this conversation because I don't think we've given enough information to really be able to help parents out there, to be able to help people out there, because this is a really important topic because our well-being is everything. It sounds like, this will help with mental health and just peace and love and joy. Just who doesn't want to feel that?
Yeah, exactly.
I know I do. I want to learn some more. So we will be back. Thank you, sir. So in part 2, Neill's already set you up for that, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks, Teresa.
Okay, thank you for taking your time to be here.
My pleasure.